Ready?
I'm set.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Call to order the City Council Successor Agency Financing and Power Authority meeting. Roll call, please.
Council Member, Agency Director, Authority Member Johnson.
Present.
Mann.
Present.
Smith.
Here.
Vice Mayor, Vice Chairman Christ.
Present.
Mayor Chairman Paris. We have a quorum.
Okay. We're going to stand in adjournment till 6:30.
It would be appropriate to take a motion,
To
second.
excuse the mayor.
Yeah, can we?
You can do that too, but what I was speaking to was the adjournment. We should.
Yeah, we should make a motion
But there
to-
should be a motion.
Okay.
Okay, so this
Let's
deal with,
excuse the mayor first. So I need a motion and a second to
So
excuse the
moved.
mayor.
I'll second
We
that.
have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. I need a motion to adjourn till 6:30.
So moved. I'll make that
Second.
motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll see you back at 6:30. Thank you.
We're adjourning. Close.
Not to be here.
Okay, welcome back. We don't have to do any announcements. We didn't go into closed session. The invocations, John Meadows, Christian Life Assembly. Welcome, John.
Let's stand. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you that we can come here today and present our request to you. We thank you that you expressed your love to us through your Son, Jesus. Lord, I thank you for the leadership of the city. I pray your blessing upon them. I pray that you would give them wisdom and direction. Pray your protection over our city, that you would watch over all those who serve us and give them protection. Lord, I also pray for the jobs of the city, that there would be more opportunities for the young people. And Father, just be with us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Can we do the pledge?
Everyone would face the flag, put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Okay, we're going to have a presentation by Sandra Johnson for the Career and Technical Education Month.
Well, first, I think all of us council members would like to thank all of you citizens for your patience on having our meeting today at 6:30. So thank you very much and for being here. If we could please have, and I apologize if I mispronounce your last name, but Betsy McKinstry, Nicole Kent, and Dwayne Robertson up here, please. And also all the students that are with you, if you could please also come up to the podium. Thank you. And I'm loving the red. It's great. I had red on today. Please, if you come. How are you? Good. How are you? Good, good. You know, Vice Mayor asked if I would come up here and say this, and I was honored to be able to do this. As we know, truly we believe in education, and we know that education is the key to success, and that these students are our future. And because of that, we've decided that February has been designed as Career and Technical Education Month. And the reason we are doing this, that we are being very proactive. The three members that we just mentioned are here to make it happen. Locally, there are 7,000 students in the Antelope Valley High School District that are taking the CTE courses. Programs include engineering, biomedical, multimedia, and business, and the Green Enterprise Academy, just to name a few. One of the things that I really enjoyed when I was reading this, because I hate reading word for word, I like to speak from the heart. One of the things that I really saw is that these students are also doing internship here in our community. And through internship, that's when we really know the real world. And again, you are our future, and we'd like to give a big round of applause, not just for the children that are going into their future, but the adults who are making sure that this is happening. Thank you. And if any of you three would like to come up and say a few words first before we hand you this proclamation.
So I would just like to extend my thanks to the City of Lancaster, who always support our education efforts and really believe in the youth of this community and do what they can so that they can pursue their education and career goals. So thank you.
on that note, on behalf of our mayor, council members in the city of Lancaster, since you spoke, I'll have you come up here too. We'd like to present this proclamation and officially say that the month of February is the Career and Technical Education Month. Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Please, another round of applause for the chairman.
Thank you, Councilwoman Johnson. That was very nice. Well done. City Manager, anything to be removed?
No, sir.
Okay. The minutes. I need a motion and a second to pass the minutes.
So moved.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Let's do it orally. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Consent calendar. We don't have any speaker cards on the consent calendar. Need a motion and a second to pass the consent calendar.
So moved.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, let's vote. Motion passes 4-0. PH1. We're going to open a public hearing regarding PH1. Hear the staff report from the Public Safety Director. There's a little confusion who actually is the Public Safety Director. I read in the paper that it is Jocelyn. So,
That it must be true.
okay.
Right.
It's Mr. Lee DeRico and our City Attorney, Jocelyn Corbett.
Assistant City Attorney, thanks.
She's just pushing herself all over the place.
Okay.
Thank
We
you,
didn't
Vice
see you
Mayor
make that
Chris.
correction to the press.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Christ and City Council. What we have before you tonight is a addition to our Title IX section of the Lancaster Municipal Code, which we're seeking to authorize the designees by the city manager and our law enforcement community to be able to issue an administrative cite for certain issues that occur within our community. A couple meetings ago, we came before you and talked about a brief history as changes in legislation over the last several years and how it's impacted law enforcement and the legal process to adjudicate cases, and we've seen diminishing results as it relates to the punitive issues related to that for incarceration times. So what we've seen is we put a significant amount of resources towards protecting our community here in Lancaster, and we take that very seriously. The current contract rate for a deputy sheriff is about $2.02 per minute as we look at that based on our staffing levels here. So what we're looking for here is the ability for the city on cases now especially under Prop 47 and AB 2124 to cases that typically now we're concerned that will not be filed. Those cases will be deferred. There will be an entry of summary judgment for a period of time regarding AB 2124, and especially during, as it relates to Prop 47 and the decriminalization of certain crimes. A specific example would be the redefinition of shoplifting as it relates to burglary and a reduction down to a misdemeanor based on a premeditated issue. That's definitely unprecedented as it relates to the penal code. We're certainly going a direction I think that's appropriate based on what we're occurring and to develop some process out there that actually inhibits people from committing those type of crimes that are typically not going to be managed through the judicial process at this time. So with that, I'll just hand it over to Jocelyn, the Assistant City Attorney.
Just to hit the highlights of the ordinance, Ordinance 1001 provides that an administrative citation may be issued to a person who commits shoplifting, forgery, theft, receipt of stolen property, disturbing the peace, unlawful dumping, and vandalism. This is an administrative procedure and an administrative penalty that a deputy or another designated officer may use as an alternative to pursuing misdemeanor criminal proceedings through the DA's office and the courts. The ordinance provides that the administrative penalty for the first citation is $500 and $1,000 for the second and any subsequent citation. The ordinance clearly affords a person cited his or her due process rights. It provides an opportunity to appeal and have an administrative hearing before an independent hearing officer. The city bears the burden of proof to establish by a preponderance of the evidence that the appellant committed the offense that was the basis for the citation. And if an appealed citation is upheld by the hearing officer, the person cited has an opportunity for judicial review pursuant to the Government Code and the Code of Civil Procedure. The ordinance currently identifies certain methods of collecting unpaid administrative penalties. Those include recording a lien or imposing a special assessment on real property that's owned by a cited person, or collecting the money through the State Franchise Tax Board from personal state income tax refunds, state lottery winnings, and some other funds. We're continuing to explore all other avenues of collecting those funds, and we'll use every lawful available method to do so. We realize that this is kind of cutting edge. We don't know of any other city in California that's doing this at this point. We are pushing the envelope, and we think rightly so. We know that you feel that our local businesses are already being impacted by this, and we're going to think creatively to find ways to protect our business owners and our residents. Thank you.
Just to put some numbers out there and the impact that this recent legislation has had. Just alone in our local court, we have approximately 500 cases that are being petitioned right at this point for resentencing based under this amendment, because remember, it's retroactive back to the date that it was enacted. So certain individuals who may be incarcerated right now in state prison or in the county jail or have a pending case can petition the court to reduce that charge to a misdemeanor. And those individuals will be likely doing street time within our community. We've already seen, based on the reports that have come out from the state regarding AB 109, how that street crime has impacted us with a further crime rate of certain crimes, especially like larcenies and things that we're impacting here. Secondly, right now, just looking at the adjudication of cases in the state of California from 2012, potentially alone from 2012, that's 40,000 potential petitions for resentencing based on Proposition 47 that could take place in the state of California in the next short period of time. So that's a significant amount of individuals who would typically be incarcerated or held to a higher standard through the court that would now not be doing that as well and would be in our community. You know, we already work very closely with the court now, especially with youth offenders as it relates to diversion programs. We're always implementing things. The city here already has established a community youth court, which is a restorative justice type model court to not mark children for the rest of their lives based on a first-time offense. We also work closely with the Superior Court and actually manage the teen court here in the city of Lancaster. So we're very proactive with the judiciary here. I've had several meetings now with our judges at the local court as it relates to how they're going to actually implement that. So there's some confusion on how this process is going to move forward. So from this point, should you adopt this tonight, we are going to have to work very closely with the district attorney's office, the sheriff's department, local agencies as it relates to this probation, parole, whoever that may be, on establishing protocols and procedures in place. Obviously, we don't want to give someone an administrative side who potentially, based on that charge and their history, could be dealt with differently through the court on a more significant process.
So the bottom line, what we're trying to accomplish here is to tell our citizens to behave themselves and to follow the rules. If the state of California wants to transfer the burden to the county or to the cities, this is our last measure that we have to accomplish that, correct? So all we're trying to do is tell them, follow the rules, we'll get along nicely.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
I agree. I think, as our vice mayor said, that's basically what we're saying here as a city, is just follow the rules and we'll be fine. It's not any different than what we do in our own home. You know, we have rules at home, and if you don't follow those rules, you get, punished. And whatever that may be, timeout or whatever the case may be. Same scenario here in our city. We expect respect, and we expect to follow rules, and to do that, we have to be responsible when we choose to do differently.
Ron, do you have anything?
No, I think I've Lee and I have talked about this for a while and stuff, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
And lastly, as a council, we have a responsibility. I can't see why we would not do this. We have a responsibility to protect the citizens, and we need to use the appropriate means. And obviously, again, as Vice Mayor has said, if the state wants to transfer those responsibilities down to the county or to the cities, this is how we're handling them.
Well, I think the thing that's interesting too about it is we are using avenues for recovery of those costs and based on that penalty in a manner that's not what is normally done through the court. So attaching certain things that we do through the city process already that we already currently do as it
Right.
relates to other issues in violation of our municipal code, it will help us as far as this is concerned because the court typically does not use that method.
It also gives the deputy an option.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Randy, does this help you?
This is something that is definitely uncharted territory for us, where we have, we're not quite, definitely gives us another option, of course, another tool to use. The city here has been great, been very innovative in recent years, different ways with the legal program, ABCFI, many programs to try and provide resources to help, so we're definitely optimistic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to hear some speakers.
Thank you.
Michael Reeves. Michael, tell us we did a good job. I'm just trying to help you.
And we are looking out for your best interests.
And this is exactly what you would do.
You're using up my time. Vice Mayor Chris, council, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I guess I'm the expert. I served 10 years as a reserve police officer for LAPD. I spent 10 years in corporate and college security. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in criminal justice. This is a well-intentioned ordinance, but I think it's wrong. I think that we spend $23 million to pay the sheriff's department to protect us, and now we're going to involve our code enforcement officers, our park and rangers, and our city employees, plus the sheriff, in enforcing a law that was approved, and I don't approve it, I didn't vote for it, approved by the people of California. This is what they want, and they want to reduce the crimes. In the end, though, it'll be the district attorney that determines whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony. Councilman Smith might know, he's been a law enforcement officer, that you submit the cases to the DA, and even before they get to DA, the watch commander in a police station can up the charge if you didn't give him what he considered a serious offense. Then it goes to the DA, and then they determine what kind of offense they're going to charge the individual with. So we're getting all involved in this, and I personally think it's going to be overturned by a court, because when you arrest somebody for a felony, you do it on certain elements of crime. We're getting away with the elements and say, no, those elements of crime don't apply. We're going to reduce it. We're going to make it a jail time. We're not going to make it a felony. When under common law and statute law, it's always been a felony. And one last thing. I don't like the idea of our code enforcement and park rangers going out dealing with these people. Councilman Smith knows that these people are not nice people.
Michael, I don't know where you came up with that, but that's just not true.
Right.
That our code enforcement and our park rangers aren't going to be out there enforcing this. So that's not going to happen.
It's in the, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Chris, but it's in the ordinance that,
Mr. Bozigan, is it?
yes, it's in the
No,
ordinance.
it's only deputies that will be doing this and maybe a couple of public safety employees for the city.
Thank you.
So, you're endangering their lives because they're not armed and trained to handle these people.
Michael, we're trying to protect the citizens
I
of the city
understand
of
that.
Lancaster. That's what we're in charge of doing. So we're going to do everything possible to make sure that our citizens are protected. So if the the state of California wants to pass it down, okay, the responsibility's down to us. They also pass this responsibility down to us. The responsibility of setting the fines, they pass that too. So they passed Proposition 47, and they also passed the ability for the cities to set fines. So that's what we're going to do, in my opinion. Thank you.
I respectfully disagree. I think we're opening up a can of worms. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Michelle Egbert.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, City Council. It's been some time. The passage of Prop 47 is a historic moment in California. California has gone from a state epitomizing our country's over-reliance on incarceration to now leading the nation in advancing smart justice. It is a true breakthrough. By passing Prop 47, California voters have shown that they understand that the policies of the past have failed and that we cannot incarcerate our way to safety. Californians do not want to waste any more costly prison space on nonviolent, non-serious offenses, or our precious justice resources on ineffective policies that drain tax dollars, lead to high recidivism rates, and tear apart communities. This is an opposed ordinance that we do not agree with, and Vice Mayor Christ, we will seek legal avenues towards suing the city if adopted.
Great.
We've gone through this once before, but this time there will be no negotiation. This is what the people wanted. Okay?
Michelle, you talk about incarceration.
Yes.
This ordinance doesn't incarcerate anybody.
I understand it doesn't.
What we're talking about is the ability.
But it doesn't give them the due diligence or due process of the court of law. If we go back to Gideon and Wainwright.
Absolutely does.
No, it does not. It does not. It still gives them a charge on their record.
So you're against people following the rules?
I'm not against people following the rules. I deal with the people that didn't follow the rules and getting them empowered to get them expunged. Okay, that's what we do.
And hasn't the city of Lancaster participated in that? We have commissioners that do that. We have everybody that participate. Those people that have unjustly been incarcerated, we do everything possible to get them off and get their felonies reduced. So we've done everything possible that we can, and we recognize that. But we have to protect our businesses. We have to protect our citizens from people just going out, and I understand the compassion, but we have to have compassion for our businesses also. We have to have some type of protection. And this protection is a financial protection, and it doesn't incarcerate them. So if they're going to break the rules, we're going to fine them.
I understand that, okay? I understand the penalties, but there's only a 3-year time frame right here on Prop 47, okay? This is going to be more taxpayer money being thrown out there than needs to be deemed, okay? Like they said, this is a first in California. Well, this is going to be the first lawsuit.
And I would say the city of Lancaster would welcome that.
We'll see each other in court.
Okay, thank you. Richard Macias? Macias? Welcome, Richard.
One of the things that I saw on this public hearings, PH1, is a sentence that says, "The concern is that some persons will be emboldened to repeatedly commit these crimes." Under Penal Code Section 17.5, the state of California, the state legislature says that it's the responsibility of the counties and the cities, when the people are done paying their debt to society, that it's their responsibility to help reintegrate them back into society. But this city and this city council has never done anything to actually create a reentry program to help these people. There are a lot of organizations out here that are community-based organizations that help people redeem themselves. and do the right things and change their lives. A lot of the people that are coming are trying to actually change themselves. And that's why they come to these expungements through the city or through other organizations. So we are trying to make sure that they get that opportunity. Someone once said, well, I'm trying to make this a Christian community. And Christian community revolves around people allowing the rehabilitation, the chance for people to actually change their lives and actually be helped instead of being put down, so that people could say, see, there's the reasons that we're trying to do this. There's more to it than that. Now, when people go to have their expungements done, a judge is going to review that documentation. He's just not going to say, okay, I'm giving you this. He's putting his signature to that. And that's something that people need to be aware of, because the judge isn't going to agree to do something that he doesn't feel comfortable. That person has to show that judge what he's actually accomplished, what he's done in his life, or her, and to redeem their lives. So to do basically what you guys are doing, I'm concerned because I don't want to see this city sued. You can say, well, we're glad to spend the money. It's not your money. It's my money. It's a lot of these people's money. And I don't want to see this city get sued. I've been in front of the Criminal Justice Commission saying the same thing. But you got up, you went and say, well, this is the mayor's position. And I understand that. But I want you guys, all of you, to be individuals and don't be influenced unless this is what you really are. These are the people that you really perceive everybody else to be. When the judges review these, one of the things that happens when people apply for the expungements is that they leave, the state has left it open for people.
Thank you, Richard. I
Okay.
appreciate your comments.
Sure, that's fine.
W. Melendez. Welcome.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Chris. City Council, staff. I read the article that was in the newspaper, I think last week, and it listed some of the misbehaviors that people commit intentionally, maliciously, for example, and some of them that I have about 5 of them, and some of them were listed in the article. One of them that I did not see that I think is very important is destruction of property, i.e., placing dirty shoes on bus seats. That's destruction of public property. Certain individuals do it intentionally and maliciously. The people that come in there don't know that somebody, and that's why this bus is taken. I talked about this before. That is A on my list here. I've noticed certain individuals that get on the bus with masks on. I ride the bus a lot with masks on. You can't see their face. They got hoodies and they got a covering half their face. You don't know who they are. They look at everybody suspiciously, and to me, it's dangerous. Okay, that's B there. C, and I don't have much time, is noise pollution. Some people get on the bus and they take over the bus and they start talking and dancing around or whatever. That's noise pollution. And it's also called disturbing the peace. And I just want to, me as Wally Melendez, I want to get on the record that I brought these things up. And I just have 30 seconds left. Some bus drivers, and the bus drivers are on the front line. Some bus drivers don't say a word and let individuals take over the bus. Some drivers don't, and it goes in degrees. That's D on my list. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shannon McDonald.
Good evening. My name is Shannon McDonald. I have an associate's degree in criminal administration of justice, a bachelor's degree in sociology, and a master's in public administration, with enough units for a whole other master's degree without even doing anything as of this moment. My biggest concern, I came to speak on the PH1. I've been coming to several of these meetings. I've been also at some of the criminal justice meetings. I met you in Mr. Martinez's class a long time ago. I have very much concern about my city. I can't concern myself about Palmdale. I'm here to actually back up the sheriff's department. And I'm hearing them get slammed, and it's just, I've been out here so long, and my family has been out here for so long. We have roots here. And I just want to run this down real quick. I've been with my spouse for the last 13 years. He's been a deputy probation officer for Los Angeles County Probation Department for the last 34 years. He's dealt with all types of different things. This is my, just real quick, I believe some of the solutions, the Constitution, I feel like the powers can tweak the Constitution to their benefit. We're the city of Lancaster. I feel like we're a superpower as well. I've always felt that my city was better than everybody else's city. I went to elementary school here, and I'm going to stick to that. I always come back here. I did my screwing up out here as a kid, but I redeemed myself here as well. So, therefore, the sheriff's department, only things I really have to, as far as what the sheriff's department can do, is what happened to patrolling the neighborhoods and getting to know our people. To, hey, how you doing today, Mr. Such and Such? Our law enforcement needs to know each other and things like that. That's something that can be worked on. Okay. In training our sheriff's department, I believe it's very crucial for people to take sociology, because sociology gives us a realm of all of people, not just like psychology type stuff where you're just dealing with individual type, behaviors. Sociology says about everything. We get to know different cultures, different types of people, things of that nature. As far as the people that people take advantage of second chances. And if you're not like somebody like me, who had babies at 15 and still managed to do what they had to do, I'm not a statistic, and I'm proud of that. I'm not really too sympathetic for people who keep on breaking the law. They got buddies telling them, hey, you can file for this and get it lowered. Man, forget that. I just feel like if they can tweak the Constitution, there's ways we can do things and still be within our right and within the law to do the same for our community. This is what's important. Lancaster, law and order. Most people in society want law and order. We want to do what's right. That's why we're in this room right now. But there are people out there, the few, that don't want to do right. Those are the people that need to be dealt with. And we got a bulldog for a mayor, and that's a compliment. And our sheriff's department, I wouldn't want any other sheriff's department behind my back. Okay, I'm going to tell you straight up. I really trust our sheriff's department. I've never had any issues with them. That's because I respect them. That's pretty much it.
Shannon, thank you and your husband for their service. I appreciate it.
I think that was a yes on that one.
Are we keeping track? Ed, I saved you for last. Can you beat that?
We're still talking about 47?
Yes, sir.
No, thank you.
You could talk about how good Lancaster is.
Well, we're trying to get over that cactus curtain,
There's no cactus curtain.
I've submitted for all of you some ideas that I had. This 47 is great. As far as I'm concerned, 47 works. And what you guys have done with 47 is fantastic. You're doing things that I think will help 47 in its effort to eliminate this felony situation that happens with our youth. We have too many kids, first time get busted for something and they get a felony. A felony follows you, with you for the rest of your life. I worked in the courts for most of my life, 37 years in the court system, and I see what a felony does to a kid. If you go to get a license for real estate, you have to put it down. If you go take the bar, you got to tell them about it. And a lot of times, you don't get hired because you've got a felony on your record. What you guys are doing with this, I think, is fantastic. I really appreciate it. I think it's a move in the right direction, and you don't attack 47, you encompass it. That's what you're doing, and that's what you're doing. And I think it's Mr. Bozikian is making a lot of money with the little groundwork, and I think he can put a couple of bucks in for this situation here. I know it's. We're gonna save money on this.
Whoa. You're
Not
talking to the
personally,
wrong
right.
guy.
We're saving money on this one. This situation with 47 is going to save not only the state, but it'll save us money here. And we already have the setup already. What you've got already done with the ordinances. The ordinances are all set up to do this. We can have people come in and be administrators on this situation. We don't have to send this to a judge, as some of these people think it's going to go. It doesn't go to a judge. It goes to an administrator. And for the first time, if you get a bad guy, you're going to know him. You get a make sheet, he's going to go to jail. You get a one-time, two-time person that has a misdemeanor, or now a misdemeanor, then you can help them. This is going to help our city. I don't think there's any problem there. Thank you.
I agree with that, Ed. I have a couple questions for you. Can you talk, I think you know best out of anybody that's in this room, what the city has done to help with reducing felonies? I mean, we have different programs that are out there. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think somebody...
Well, we have the expungement program in our committee, and we've been expunging people's records already. For the people that don't know it, that are here, all you have to do is come to the city, get the forms, and we'll work on it. We work with people. We also have we have another program with the Tapestry Committee where we're having people come in and we talk to both sides before an actual complaint is filed. And we're trying to get this thing done so we get people working together. You don't want this record. What happens? One person has a dog that barks too much. They come and talk to us, and we get both parties sitting down, and we talk to them, and we work something out. The city is working with the people, and we're doing as much as we can.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you for what you and your wife do.
Thank you.
Okay. I need a motion and a second to introduce the ordinance 1001.
It would be appropriate to close the public hearing at this time.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
I'll move we introduce ordinance.
Is your mic on?
Thank you. I'll move that we introduce ordinance number 1001.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Let's vote. Motion passes 4-0. We're going to move PH1 to the next council meeting.
PH2.
PH2, I'm sorry. Michael, you have a card. Did you want to save it for next time?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. NB1. Patty?
Good evening, Vice Mayor and City Council. For your consideration tonight is an agreement for street sweeping services for the City of Lancaster with Clean Street Incorporated. This agreement will maintain the city's current cost of service while increasing our service level. Clean Street has provided street sweeping services for over 25 years. They have a long history of working with municipalities, and they have a very good reputation. They're known for their excellent customer service skills. Under our current contract, our residential streets are swept on a biweekly basis, and our arterials are swept once a month. Any additional sweeps are charged on a per lane mile basis. This agreement with Clean Street will allow us to sweep our residential streets on a biweekly basis, and we'll also have an opportunity to sweep our arterials biweekly. We'll also get an additional 100 lane miles of leaf season sweeps at no additional cost. Given council approval, Clean Street will have 1 month to mobilize their Lancaster operation, which will include the hiring of 3 local employees. There will be no disruption in service, as Clean Street will continue to provide service on the same schedule as our current contractor. Our current contract ends at the end of February, and Clean Street's contract would begin on March 1st. Staff is confident that Clean Street will provide the high level of service that our council and our residents expect, and they were selected based on their qualifications, references, experience, and pricing. Universally, the costs of street sweeping have increased. However, through negotiations, staff were able to secure a price that's actually 10% lower than what we were originally quoted, and we're actually adding additional services to the city, which will have a significant impact on the aesthetics and quality of the city. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions?
No.
How about local hiring?
We're going to hire, actually, Clean Street would hire 3 employees from Lancaster.
From
to run the
Lancaster.
operations, yes.
Oh, good.
Okay.
So we get better deal on the street sweeping, and we get 3 people employed.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to mention that it was actually a partnership between Kathy DeFalco and myself. We worked on this contract, and we're really happy with the results, so
Good job.
thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Reeves.
Vice Mayor Chris, council staff, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it says it right here that this was the second lowest bid. It wasn't the lowest bid. You know, that's unprecedented. I thought that the bidding process had to do with the person that bid the lowest and was going to cost us the less that we were going to pick to do our street sweeping, which is nothing to get excited about. I mean, we've talked about this before. The mayor said, just give them a citation. Don't impound their cars. Well, okay, that's fine. But on my street, they do that. They leave the car there, and the street sweeper goes around. So after they sweep the streets, I have to go out with a broom where there was a car, and they didn't impound the car or cite the car. So before we invest $500,000 in street sweeping, let's get our act together. I mean, you want to penalize people, let's penalize these people that park, and there's signs up that says, don't park on Wednesday twice a month. I mean, if you have people working for the city as volunteers that can go out in neighborhoods and put signs out in Spanish and English on cars, say, if you park here, you're going to be cited and impounded. Because we're paying money for work that's not being done because we're not firm enough with these people that leave their cars out on the streets. And besides that, I'm really disturbed why, so we can justify the second to the lowest bid instead of the lowest bid on this. We're supposed to save taxpayers' money and get the lowest bid and charge us the less. Would somebody explain that to me?
So if I may, Michael, are you saying to us, sir, that you're very comfortable to fine individuals who park in the street and the sweepers have to go around the vehicle? You're okay to fine them, but you're not okay to fine individuals that go into your home and steal from you?
I think that's what you just said.
I'm just asking a question.
A completely different thing. You're talking about criminal justice. I'm talking about street sweeping.
But you're okay to fine them?
It's not a criminal offense to park your car. It's
okay, even better.
But in a way, you are stealing from the city of Lancaster because we pay to have the street sweepers do the job, and they can't do it.
And we were voted to keep our community safe.
Yeah, but don't confuse criminal justice
I'm not
with
confusing
street
it.
sweeping.
Thank you, though, sir. I appreciate that you value shoplifters more than
let me just
street
say,
sweepers.
I want to pay a compliment to the city.
Thank you.
May I do it?
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to give you some more time.
Well,
Yeah, if he's going to do that, let's reset the clock.
Before I sit down.
Okay.
This city does stand up for the health and safety of the citizens. I'll give you a perfect example of this. Over there on J8, between 15th Street West and 12th Street West, there's an elementary school. I asked the city of Lancaster to put a sidewalk for children would not have to walk in the street or across a barren, muddy field to go to school. The city of Lancaster put in a sidewalk. Children can now safely go from the school to the sidewalk across the street on 15th Street West. This city does come through, and I give a compliment to the city manager's office and the council. But on this street sweeping thing, we gotta nail this thing down. If you're going to pay somebody this kind of money, let's get those cars moved. And I'm sorry, if you don't move the car, you're going to be cited, and after a couple cites, you're going to get impounded.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Boy. I'll keep my comments to myself. They probably wouldn't be very positive.
Okay. Have a motion and a second.
I motion that we approve NB1.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve RFP number 602-15. Let's vote. Motion passes 4-0.
Mr. Vice Mayor, if I may interrupt and ask you to return to PH2 and open the public hearing and then continue so that we need not renotice the public hearing for PH2, that would be more economical for the city.
Okay, if I do that, then I'm going to let Michael speak on PH2.
That is fine by me.
Okay, we're going to go back and open PH2 for the TOD zone. Michael, do you want to speak?
It must be in favor again, huh?
I drew a map of the boundaries of the new boundaries. And, it just cuts off after downtown and it includes the residential neighborhood. Now, we have a lot of quaint, decent housing in that boundary. The bad housing that maybe should be worked on is up closer to Sierra Highway and Avenue J. I mean, the emphasis should be in that area. We want to preserve these homes near downtown. And I have a comment to make in the non-agenda part about this planning things. But right now, this is too much of an area. And I realize if you think about the future of the city can only grow in this area. That's true. We can't put up any buildings where the boulevard is. If we're going to put up housing and skyscrapers and stuff, it'll have to be in this area. Okay, I'll give you that. But I'm sorry to see us destroy homes and apartments in that area, because that type of environment makes this community quaint. And I would like to preserve that. But I can understand the city's rationale for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. We're going to leave the public hearing open.
That's correct, and continue it
Continue it to the next meeting.
on February 10th, 2015.
Okay.
Thank you.
NB2?
Good evening, Vice Mayor Christ, council members. Before you tonight is ordinance number 1002. This is one of our cleanup ordinances that we're doing as we go through the municipal code and determine where updates and revisions are appropriate. This particular ordinance before you is to update various provisions concerning commissions, including the appointment of commissioners, terms of service, and some related matters. The code chapters concerning youth, criminal justice, architectural, and design planning commissions are each being revised to clarify the terms of office. The Planning Commission chapter is being revised so that termination of a commissioner's appointment as a result of excessive absences is discretionary rather than mandatory, as the code presently reads. And provisions concerning expense reimbursement that have never been used by the Criminal Justice and Architectural and Design Planning Commission are being deleted so as to avoid some somewhat burdensome FPPC requirements that previously would be imposed. Additionally, Chapter 2.28 regarding the Youth Commission is being expanded to include high schools in Quartz Hill. Chapter 2.04 is codifying the mayor's appointment of mayor emeritus and to represent the city during ceremonial and other events when the mayor or city council members cannot attend. We're also adding a new chapter, 2.36, codifying the Neighborhood Vitalization Commission, which was previously established by agenda action item. And finally, we're cleaning up that throughout the code where references to the Department or Director of Public Works is mentioned, it's construed to mean the Department or Director of Development Services, which is the new term that we use for that department. If there are any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
We have no speaker cards. Any questions? I need a motion and a second to introduce ordinance number 1002.
I move it.
Go ahead.
I move that we introduce ordinance number 1002.
I'll second that.
Let's vote. Motion passes 4-0. CA1, let's see. Consideration, nomination, appointment of Josh Mann as president to the Lancaster Museum Public Art Foundation Board of Directors.
Vice Mayor, before we take a vote, the nomination appointment, Allison, this wouldn't be a conflict of interest, would it?
It is not.
Okay, especially if it's going to cost me money, would it be a conflict of interest?
It will not result in a payment to you. It is not a conflict.
No, it ain't going to be a payment. Usually the things he gets involved with usually cost me money, so, okay, just wanted to make sure.
Josh, come up here so we can put you on camera.
Hi, Josh.
And I appreciate my father's charitable contributions to the Lancaster Museum and Public Art Foundation. It's been
See what I tell you.
It's already costing him, right? Tell us about your new job.
Yes, recently I took a new position with Waste Management, who, as we know, is the city's franchised hauler and a good community partner, I think, for the city of Lancaster. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to work with Vice Mayor Christ on some good community activities, especially with the sheriff's boosters, and I think that this role actually works out nicely with hopefully this new position with the Lancaster Museum and Public Art Foundation to help grow our arts community here in the Antelope Valley so that young people and not so young people can
Why did you
enjoy
point at Sandra?
Yeah, I was going to ask. You're one of my favorites. Wow.
Was, huh?
Okay.
You want to rewind?
Mr. Mann, would you like to make the nomination?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to nominate Josh Mann to the president of Lancaster Museum and Public Arts Foundation Board of Directors.
And this old lady seconds.
You're still my favorite.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, let's vote. Josh, welcome, and thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, council reports. Sandra Johnson, AVTA.
We have a lot of exciting things happening at AVTA. Sure, Vice Mayor, if you'd like to share some also. However, one of the things that we talked about was the new grants that are coming up for this new year. We have been informed by consultants that the grants are not as high as we've expected them to be, and where the federal law is even considering to raise taxes with our gas prices. However, we know that that's not going to happen. But we are, as AVTA board, being very creative to think outside the box, as we've been known to do, to continue to make history. As we know, to make history, you have to think outside the box, and you have to move forward, and you have to do it as a team, and we all have to be on that same vision. And we decided as a board that that's what we will continue to do, and we will be being very creative to research other grants that are available, not just for transportation, but for our community in general, which we can use to reach that goal for electric buses.
We also heard from, you want to talk a little bit about the buses being refitted here at BYD?
Are we discussing what was today at the meeting?
Yes.
We are redesigning some of the diesel buses that are going to be refitted to be more battery operated. And one of the things that they're considering is the weight also of the bus, which won't be in effect at all for the redesigning of the buses. So that's another creative way of thinking outside the box to be able to design electric buses in our community.
So what they're basically going to do is take a diesel bus, take the diesel components out of it and put the electric components into it and use BYD components for the whole thing and make it to a new bus and charge us at a lot less than they normally would, but we'll retrofit a already used bus and make it into one that we can use. And it's about $300,000 less.
Right.
And there's been a lot of talk in regards to how much an electric bus costs over a period of time. So if you compare the two with a diesel bus, we budget $5 a gallon because it's a very volatile situation with diesel. Sometimes, I mean, it's gone up to $4.38, I think it was, that we were paying for diesel. But we budget up to that much, $5 a gallon. So if you look at both components, the diesel compared to the electric, that they're both cost pretty much the same. So it's over a period of 12 years, and if you look at it over a period of 12 years, it's better for the environment, and we get to keep the money here locally. Instead of sending out millions, and I'm talking millions of dollars that AVTA has, instead of sending that money out to other jurisdictions, not meaning Palmdale, but meaning out of the state or out of the county of Los Angeles, we get to keep that money locally. And, you know, that keeps other people, you know, those people are buying houses, they're buying bread, they're doing other things. So there's an economic multiplier that's in there that's just a huge. So if we keep that $1 million, then we're going to turn it into $3 million here. So it's
Right.
it's a good thing for the jurisdiction, which means the AVTA jurisdiction, and it's good for all of us.
And if
So-
I may also add to that, Vice Mayor, in addition to financially being feasible, as you heard our Vice Mayor say, but also for health, you know, in our community, for the air, the quality of our life is also going to be much better doing it this way. But again, as our Vice Mayor expressed, this is a great way of thinking outside the box of what we just shared with you, to take a diesel bus and make it into an electric bus.
We have a severe, I don't know what we are called severe as far as the AVA QMD, as far as our, the pollution. And that pollution comes from South Coast, and it comes from the San Joaquin Valley. It's all imported air. So what we're actually trying to do is to piggyback on the election of our Congressman Knight and have him get us some money, because we're being polluted in this area, and we have severe asthma problems in this area. Because of that, we're trying to get more money and be creative about the money that we get, and for the reasons that a lot of this is not the jurisdiction's fault. It's not Palmdale or Lancaster's. We don't have a lot of polluting industry here, but it comes from the Los Angeles Basin, and it actually blows in from San Francisco and comes down the San Joaquin Valley and into the Antelope Valley. So that's how we get the majority of our pollution. So we're trying to take that into consideration and get grants based upon those factors.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good day both at the AVA QMD and at the AVTA.
Mm-hmm. Making history.
Councilman Mann, I hear you found more money at the sanitation district.
Looking for it. So at our regular meeting in January, one of the things that was brought before us, and I alluded to this months back, is we gave direction to staff to start the process to remortgage the bonds that were raised to build the sanitation facility just north of here. Currently, with where the bond market is at, it's a rough estimation that we think that there'll be about a $20 million savings on that remortgage. And they estimate bringing that information back to us. They have to start the process now. It takes about 6 months to actually go out and move that process forward. The actual call date for the bonds are in October, and we have the ability legally to move that refinancing up early. So we're going to take that direction and move it up. That'll allow us then to adopt, hopefully, start the process to adopt a new budget. Starting sometime around March or April, we'll have a better idea where the bond market is at. And then that'll give us the ability to adopt a new budget in July. And my intent would be to turn around and give that $20 million back to everybody that is serviced by the sanitation district here. So good news. We'll keep our fingers crossed and see if we don't get that $20 million savings. So rather than your taxes go up, I think for the first time in the city of Lancaster, the taxes will go down. So you'll get that on your county tax bill. Might be a little bit premature, but staff felt they were pretty optimistic that we were going to be right in that ballpark of about $20 million. So, and they thought that that was a conservative estimate. So we might even have better news than that. So I'm looking forward to our meeting come March, because we'll have the process started with bond counsel, and we'll have a definitive number at that point in time where interest rates were at. And I'll stay tuned for the news coming in March or hopefully the 1st of April.
I want to just say publicly on what a great job that you've done on the sanitation district. You've stayed on them. You've looked for the money. You've looked for them to do the refinancing, and you're a great asset to the city. So thank you for that.
My mom said she can't wait till she sees the money. So she's not as optimistic as you. As she says, when we see the tax bill go down, then you might get a pat on the back.
I'm going to have Josh buy you a beer if it does go down.
All right.
Michael Reeves.
Make sure he doesn't call you old.
Michael, you have one for CR1. I just did both council reports, so you might have comments on both.
Thank you, Councilman Mann, on behalf of the homeowners of Lancaster, because that 14th district sanitation fees are killing a lot of people, believe me. And whatever we can get back, I appreciate very much.
Yeah, my mom's 86, and she hangs out with a bunch of ladies that are in that age group. I probably got myself in trouble because there's probably some 70-year-old ladies there, but they pass on their feelings about what it's like to own a home and then convey that the largest one-line item on their county tax bill happens to be the Sanitation District 14.
Right.
So when you're on a fixed budget, it's pretty darn tough.
Right.
So that I clearly get and understand. So this hopefully is one of turning the tide back.
Well, thank you. Vice Mayor Chris, I just have a comment about the AVTA. If you start at the mall and go down 10th Street West toward Lancaster, you notice that the city of Palmdale has a lot of bus benches. The minute you hit Avenue M and enter the city of Lancaster, you notice there aren't bus benches. There are people standing up by trees and poles waiting for the bus. I'm just wondering if the AVTA could please put some bus benches in the city of Lancaster for the people on 10th Street West will have something to sit on.
We have more bus benches in the city of Lancaster than anywhere else. So we haven't done as many elaborate bus stops as everyone else, but we're continuing to do that in the city of Lancaster, and it's an equal jurisdictional split as far as what they do. It's how they use the money for that. So we're working on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Nothing on the housing, nothing on the finance, nothing on the power, nothing on the successor agency. City manager.
Two things. First off, and some of the speakers hit on it, but I don't I think it bears saying that this staff and this council doesn't play it safe. It's so much easier to do nothing than to just take a chance. The administrative citation ordinance, it would have been really easy as an example for Lee and Jocelyn to say, let's wait for 5 other people to test it. You can say that about CCA, streetlights, traction seal, beer festival. Doing nothing is easiest, but it's absolutely wrong. So I think that this city should take a lot of pride in the people that work for it, that are willing to try things. Number 2, speaking of trying things, we had a exceptionally good, probably the best one I've been involved with, MLK Day of Service last weekend. There was, well, you'll see on the video, I think the video does it justice. So we're going to show you a short video on MLK Day of Service, which was last Saturday, I believe.
Martin Luther King said that everyone can give. They can give by donating their time. And that's what it should mean to everybody.
"31 projects this year, over 1,000 volunteers, and they are moving mountains. Very well organized. Everybody knows where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing. It's been efficient. So we're really excited, making a very big difference this year in the community."
As we celebrate Martin Luther King, it means of thinking of the big picture, thinking outside of yourself, and partnership. And that's what we're all trying to emulate today, service, thinking outside of ourselves, and working together, and I think that's what would make him proud.
What a great day, and beautiful too. So you can clearly see God's behind us because He gave us the weather and we got the community together, and look at all the great things we're doing here in Antelope Valley, specifically Lancaster today.
The video was a lot longer, but we had to take the parts out about Marv telling Ken and I and everyone else what to do, so that shortened it up a tad.
Yeah, and what was that about painting the station downtown Palmdale colors? What is that all about? I never did get clarity on that.
Lancaster Station turned into Falcon green and black.
It was. It was green and black. We repainted it, and Sandra sent her assistant to help us.
Yeah, I don't think that, I didn't see her assistant there. No, I didn't, no. Because I wasn't, I still can't figure out how we got Palmdale. But I don't want somebody to say that we're not working in cooperation with Palmdale. We're down here painting Palmdale colors. I want to know where the red and black is over in Palmdale.
Go Lopes. That's right. I'm with you, Ken. I agree.
What is that all about?
Mark, can you share a little bit with us, too, what we were able to do for that school, elementary school with baseball field, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I got to work on that project all day. It was a blast, but I'd like Rhonda Perez, since she knows it better. All the projects are at Eastside Elementary, and the principal was amazed.
We had a really great partner this year in Eastside Elementary School, and we actually did multiple projects over there. We removed some trees, we worked on their pond area, we planted seeds, and then an impromptu project came up when Mark walked outside and saw a sandlot that needed some TLC, and that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. We pulled a huge dumpster full of a lot of sod and resurfaced their backdrop and resurfaced the entire sandlot. So that was a lot of fun. It was a good group effort.
That was great.
It was fun to watch Mark and Marvin out there, too.
And Ken was there.
Yeah, I was working.
Ken
You were
was there
doing
as
the
well.
supervising. That's like Mark was being polite.
That's what I'm elected to do.
Giving direction.
You weren't elected to do it that day.
I elected me. Do you have anything else?
No, sir, that's quite enough.
Okay, we're moving on. City Clerk.
This is the time to address the City Council, agency, and authority on non-agendized matters.
Please complete a speaker card, which can be found on the back table of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. State law prohibits the city council from taking action on items not on the agenda, and your matter will be referred to the city manager. Thank you.
Michael Reeves.
Vice Mayor, council, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I'm concerned about some of the planning activities of the city of Lancaster, particularly over at J8 and 20th Street West. You know, we have a new Marriott hotel over there, and unfortunately, they have obstructed the view of the hotel with the building on the corner, with the back of the building facing the street. I've always believed that 20th Street West would be the salvation of this city commercially. 20th Street West could be like Lake Avenue in Pasadena for Lancaster. You've had the CEO of Antelope Valley Hospital get up here a month ago and talk about all the buildings they're going to construct on that campus. In fact, it's going to be like a city in a city. 20th Street West could be just a magnificent boulevard, maybe department stores, high-end shops. But if we continue the way we're doing right now, it's not going to be anything. I have no control over it, and I'm sorry they did that. They just ruined the view of the hotel. I don't know why they didn't put the buildings on the side of the hotel where the people could see the shops as they go down the street. As it is now, it's like Fort Apache. That, you know, they don't want the people to see the shops. And even if they do see the shops, they're not going to be able to get to the shops because of these concrete barriers in the middle of the street. There's still time to rectify and save 20th Street West and promote it to be a beautiful avenue. You could turn left on Lancaster Boulevard and go down 20th Street West someday when we're not around, and it could just be a magnificent street with trees and beautiful stores, and we need to work on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Is it Deborah Gomez? Welcome, Deborah.
Hello, good evening. My name is Deborah Ken. I'm a student at DeVry University, and I wanted to speak to you all about domestic violence. I do have a few questions. For example, what is the city going to do on this domestic violence? For example, are there any programs that are available? And if there are, I also wanted to name, if there are other programs, how is it going to help them? How is it going to help these victims? And also, one more question. Who do I interview for domestic violence?
See that gentleman with his hand up in the back? That's the guy that's going to tell you all the programs that we have and what we're doing for it.
Okay.
So he can help you. Okay?
Thank you.
Lee, will you make sure you take care of her?
Thank you.
Deborah, what are you majoring in?
I'm majoring in business and management, small business and entrepreneurship.
Wonderful. What degree?
I'm sorry?
What degree are you going for?
Bachelor's degree.
Bachelor's. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan?
Hello, my name is Jonathan Vielman, and I'm doing a research paper on concussions and injuries on athletes. I know you guys have a soccer complex. I play soccer, so I go there for tournaments. I just want to know, what is your measurements to injuries on athletes? If you have any sort of, when there's tournaments, such as State Cup or National Cup, I know they have it here in the complex of Lancaster. What is your precaution for the athletes? Do you have any EMTs out there? Because I personally have not seen any when I go play. So I'm just wondering, because of the most people don't know how serious concussions could be, and some they're not looking for the well-being of the players. You know, some people will obviously let the players continue lingering on an injury. So I'm just wondering, what are your precautions to this? If you have any plans for the future of having maybe emergency assistance on the parks, such as helping just players keeping themselves safe, and also who's in charge of parks and recreation that maybe I can talk to or ask a few questions to.
She's going to raise her hand right now, and after the meeting, if you'll stick around, she'll talk with you in regards to it, and she'll answer all your questions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Heather, come tell us how our water's doing.
I'm sure you all missed me for a while. I was actually getting an education. Good evening, City Council. I am now certified by the state of California as a Tier 2 level water treatment professional. So if you need any questions, by all means, please call me. My biggest concern, though, is while I have volunteered my house several times to LA County Water District 40, and they have come out, they did not run a full spectrum test on the water. Okay, there's definitely an issue here, definitely. The chromium-6, which came to light in 2001, it was stated in the Antelope Valley Press, was at extremely high levels, and it states that in the water quality report that comes out to everyone that there was no standard. That is incorrect. Even in 2001, I mean, it states in several places what the standard is 0.01. The wells that were tested out here, 32 out of 44 were at like levels of 17.9, as high as 30 on some of them. And the arsenic is just out of control too. Now, what I learned in class was if the drinking water, by the way, Safe Drinking Water Act, I guess, is celebrating their 40-year birthday. If the levels of drinking water are hazardous to human exposure, they're supposed to notify the public as a Tier 1 notification by radio, TV, and hand deliveries, if need be. There haven't been any of that, and the trihalomethanes on their report, they have an ND, which means no data, okay? If you don't have any data on the wells that you're testing, how can you be at 102 and 108%? There was like 2 wells, I guess, that had turned in the data, and 4 of them didn't have any data at all, and it was still at 102%. And that was for the HA5, which is 60 ppb. I don't know if this is like, you guys aren't. The trihalomethanes and the okay, you know what, okay, is 60 ppb for HAA5, and trihalomethanes is 80 ppb. Well, the trihalomethanes was off the charts, and the HAA5, which is supposed to be 60 ppb, only had 2 wells tested, and the rest had no data. So, from what I could tell from AVEC's report, they need to notify the public, because the people that are most susceptible to this on short-term exposure are elderly, people with cancer, transplant, organ transplant, people going through chemo, and infants. So usually these are the people that don't have water filtration systems, and they should be able to have that. And I'm just trying to educate you and trying to help. So, I mean, it's up to you to make something happen. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a couple new directors for AVAC. I'll talk to them and see what's going on with it.
They'd like to come out. I know they did the flush, on the system at the end of the street, the green.
If they need to, can I have them call you?
Sure, certainly.
Okay, thank you. George Beatty? Welcome, George.
Good evening. Vice Mayor, council members, ladies and gentlemen. I commend you on responding to my first observation about the incompleted bus stop out at 20th J and 20th East and J. It's now completed. But in my travels, you go out Lancaster Boulevard east, it is impossible for any vehicle other than a motorcycle to make a right-hand turn on 25th Street East. The construction that's going on out there, widening, located markers cemented to the concrete, excess of a foot, foot and a half into the southbound portion of 25th Street East. It's impossible for any vehicle, as I say, other than a motorcycle, to go down that lane or even make a right-hand turn without crossing the double yellow line. Well, when you evade the one lane and eliminate a foot, foot and a half of it, you should have had somebody to follow through and eliminate the double yellow line or move markers over. You're opening a lawsuit for the city again. And this is what's baffling me. Nobody's wanting to take a look at what's going on with our street construction and stuff. And why me, being a citizen, have to be reporting this stuff all the time? You know, if you're paid to do a job by the city, complete it. Let's do it right. You know, I mean, do your travel down there and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay, we will.
Yeah.
Mark, can you look into that? Thank you. Adriana Gonzalez? Fran, I'm saving you for last.
Hello, I'm Adriana Gonzalez. I am a daughter of a deputy sheriff in Santa Clarita and a daughter of a veteran and a girlfriend of a veteran and many veterans in my family. I actually wanted to ask what the city is doing for our local veterans, because I do have a boyfriend that goes all the way to Long Beach to get medical care. He is paralyzed from the waist down. His name is Gerald Hancock, as a lot of people know in the city. Also, my father has to go to LA to get medical care. Just wanted to know if, or any information on what the city is doing for our local veterans. That's basically my biggest question.
Well, we're doing a lot, but off the top of my head, we're looking at moving some of the facilities or having them come up here rather than they all go down to Westwood. So rather than going down to Westwood, we're trying to move some of the administrative portions up here into the city of Lancaster. Also, we're allowing the veterans to ride the buses free with the AVTA so they can go down there and they can get their health care. It's a huge facility, and as far as the support, veterans are number one in the city of Lancaster. So we support them and we'll do whatever we can to help. So sometimes we need to be reminded whether to move this barrier over just a little bit, but don't. And I appreciate you coming in and reminding us about the veterans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fran, make us smile.
Please, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. My name is Fran Sarasaris, Mr. Vice Mayor, Council, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else that's in this room. Anyway, first of all, I want to talk about the roundabout.
Which one?
Well, all three of them.
Talk to Ken.
Brian came to the senior center and spoke to our seniors last week on the roundabouts. And as you know, when I talked about it the last time, I was a little bit dubious and a little bit skeptical about them. But as I saw the drawings and I saw the pictures and how it overlaid to the existing streets, it makes sense. And I commend you on that. I think it'll work out good.
Hey, we thank you for that.
So that's good.
Well, hopefully Marvin's listening to you.
Okay. I know, sweetheart. It's right down the street.
Fran, I'm with you. I don't like roundabouts. They belong in Europe.
Yeah.
Fran didn't say she didn't like roundabouts.
Yeah, she did say
Fran
that.
says she understands.
She said it made sense.
And I'm not talking about dollar cents either.
No.
Okay. Okay. I'm a little confused. You mentioned, Mr. Mann, the $20 million remortgaging loan. But didn't you say on December the 9th that the sanitation department had $3 billion of excess money?
Yeah, so let me get you clear. So what I stated was that, and actually Mark even said, Ken, really, billions of dollars? So we received a presentation in December that all the, and I believe there's 20, don't quote me on this, 23 or 24 sanitation districts that are within the Los Angeles County, and they're sitting on just right at, currently today in dollars, believe it or not, $2 billion. So I did get the billion right. I was doing that off the top of my head. I thought it was more closer to $3 billion, but it's really $2 billion. And in their presentation, those dollars are used collectively within LA County for all the sanitation districts. And so when you break it down, there's a prorated share that belongs to our district, but obviously it's nowhere near $2 billion. But just to give you the scope and size is how big the sanitation districts that make up LA County, I have a suspicion that they're probably one of the biggest entities that we have. And we so forget often at times how big some of these public, I'm going to say utilities, how big they can become over time. So that I was correct in the fact that it is billions. It's $2 billion. And those monies are earmarked. You know, I tried to, again, when I diligently tried to figure out how do I reduce the sewer taxes, I didn't leave nothing unturned. Trust me. Last time around, I had Mark Bozigian with me. I had Jason with me. I had Barbara with me. And every time I meet with them, I try to do diligence to try to turn over every stone to try to make sure that they're operating as lean as possible. So one of the things that we thought was possibly we could dip into that $2 billion, but unfortunately in our fact-finding that legally we can't touch those monies. They are earmarked for future use. Kind of crazy when you sit on that kind of money.
So then what is the $20 million of me refund we're getting? What is that bond for then?
Back in 2000, and I think it's 2006, there was a vote taken in both Palmdale and the city of Lancaster in the two jurisdictions to raise monies to be able to build the new facility. So we built one here north at Avenue D. At the same time, Palmdale built one in the south. And to comply with state law, and also to take care of the sewer system for the future. And in order to build that facility, about $180 million. In order for us to fund that, we had to raise a bond. And so there was a vote taken. I don't know if you were here then. That was 2006. So we all voted, kind of a crazy way we voted because it was a reverse vote. What the county did was they sent out a notice. If you didn't turn it in, that means you voted yes for the bond in the building of the sanitation facility.
But why did we have to get a bond if they've got all these billions of dollars?
Yeah, that's what I said, but unfortunately, the $2 billion are used for future use. We can't dip into that $2 billion fund because I asked that question. I said, why are we borrowing money out on the open market? Why don't we just borrow it from ourselves? And unfortunately, those dollars by law can't be used to mortgage or build facilities within LA County. Crazy as it seems.
Okay, well,
confusing.
Confusing, but thank you. I think you clarified some of.
Yeah, and trust me, I'm diligently, and that it was billion, because Mark looked at me and he said, really, Ken? Billions of dollars? You know, he questioned whether I had the decimal point in the right place, but I had it in the right place, so.
Well, my time's about up, but which I should put it on you. You used up my time.
Reset it. Reset it. I'm
Going
not
to
going
penalize them.
I'm not going to take the heat on that one there. Reset that.
Real quick, like, just a few things. Mayor Harris had mentioned before, at the last meeting, that maybe you'll be going down to one meeting a month instead of two. As it is, we have 2 meetings a month that us as public people can come up and speak, and if you change it to one, that's going to make it, well, on our part, on our side of the fence, a little bit more difficult to be able to speak on different things, because every time there's a meeting, there's different things that come up so that we can speak on them. So I, for one, am hoping that you do not do that. Real quick, another thing, benches, fencing around the Metrolink station, which is okay, which is good, because it does keep some of the people we don't want in there. But somebody mentioned today at the aging meeting I had at the senior center this afternoon, that one of the gates where the seniors can go in, the disabled seniors, was locked, and she couldn't get in. So
At the Metrolink station?
Pardon?
At the Metrolink?
Yeah, at the Metrolink station. That she couldn't get in because it was locked, and then they brought it to some of the people, to one of the officers there's attention, but there's not enough people, he said, to patrol it or to do anything about it. So I was thinking, why can't you get the people that are on the Title V, that they work, to kind of help out with the Metrolink and do some organization down there.
Friend, it's a whole new world over there for Metrolink. Since we have the agreement, the MOU with them, they're even charging people to ride the Metrolink now.
What a concept, huh? So maybe they'll get enough money so that we can get somebody that can address and be able to support seniors.
Okay, got another thing to do here. As far as the water, our water here today, my water in my house, it has a lot of calcium buildup. I've called the water district. They've come and flushed out, like she said real quick, flushed out the water. In fact, they wasted, and I brought it to their attention, 10,000 gallons of water wasted on down the street, and it still didn't do the trick, because I still have bad tasting water and a lot of calcium buildup.
We are working on it, but we're not in charge of it. That's the problem. So we're working on it with our partners at AVAC, through the county, through everybody. We're aware of, some of the tasks that we have to do, but keep in mind that that's something that the county and AVAC and all the other people are in charge of. And friend, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much. Oh, by the way, I might be running for Senate. I knew I'd get your attention. Another thing, it's my birthday, so.
Well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'm starting my new year now. Yeah, that's a good year. No, yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Ron, you have anything? Sandra?
Just during the MLK Justice Sunday that was scheduled, and I had the privilege to be able to MC that event. And just to mention that we had great people that were there for Justice Sunday. Our DA Jackie Lacey was there, and the first time our new sheriff spoke for the first time and did a wonderful job and shared with us what we're doing as a community, as a whole, as LA County, for the safety of our residents. And we're looking forward to the relationship that we'll be continuously building with our sheriff. Wonderful young man. And I think, and forgive me, Vice Mayor, I know you were there, and I'm not sure if we shared this with them, but the Transportation Summit that was scheduled for January 14th that we went to, and speaking of the Metro, did we also go over some of those numbers? Metro, LA County was there, and they were talking about and forgive me for not recalling, but the numbers, the difference in numbers that they were seeing now that they were doing the job that they should have been doing, where they are actually going into the stations and seeing if people have tickets that they're paying for, and also people that pay for tickets to only go to a certain location, but they stay in the train to continue on. They've been citing them also. And once they started doing their job, they were talking in the hundreds, weren't they?
There was over 800 citations that have been issued so far for that are citations, and there's been an additional 800 that have just been told to leave the train. So over 1,600 people. So it is true what we were saying. It is. It did affect the city. We're seeing the differences already, and we commend Metro and the MetroLink for what they've done, and for what they're trying to accomplish now. It's a big task to unwind it. The biggest problem that I'm getting complaints at the MetroLink station is that the lines are too long for buying tickets, because they have to buy tickets.
Because now they have to buy tickets, right?
Yes. So
But this is a great example of how you're just saying that, we hate to say it, but we're going to say it. We told you so. So there you go.
one other thing is a lot of people asking about Color Me Rad.
Yes, Color Me Rad is scheduled April. Yes, are you going? April 5th, absolutely. Color Me Rad, we had it last year. It was a great event. We had over 5,000 people come to this event. It was great weather. It was a great way for our community to come together. We had a lot of people visiting our community also, which was really nice, and they were able to visit and see what our community is about. We're looking forward to a bigger and better event for this upcoming year, and so please come visit. It's going to start at the Pioneer Event Center. And it will be April 5th, and we'll have more details on the city website and also the University of Antelope Valley website.
Okay.
25th? April 25th. Thank you, sir. April 25th.
Yeah.
So look out for it. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Mann is going to adjourn the meeting today. So, Mr. Mann.
The Lancaster City Council will adjourn in the memory of Wilda Nielsen Andrzejczyk. I want to speak briefly about Wilda. She was the president of the Antelope Valley Union High School District, plus the Antelope Valley School Boards Association and the Antelope Valley Transit Authority. She was also chairwoman of the Antelope Valley Red Cross, a board member of the United Way, and other committees that she was heavily involved with in community. And I knew Wilda personally because her and I spent quite some time on the United Way board historically. She's a devoted mother, grandmother, and a great-grandmother, and she'll be missed by family, friends, and clearly she'll be missed by the city here of Lancaster. So the City Council is adjourned until Tuesday, February 10th at 2015 at 5 o'clock in her honor.
And for your students in the back, we're going to come up here and take pictures with you.